Hello, this is Sheena.
And this is Jen.
And welcome to Going Within.
Got it. All right. So, hey guys, we have a new guest here today. Well, our very first guest here on the Going Within podcast. And I'm here with Jen, my co-host, and Jamie Roth. Yay! We got to make a drum roll. So, Jamie, you came to us through the universe, through Jen first. You met Jen first at the pool. And that day, Jen texted me and she was like, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe I met this lady. Oh, and her energy is just so good. And we were just talking and talking and talking. And we were just flowing. And I was like, yeah. She's going to be on the podcast. She's going to be on the podcast.
And my son was like, who are you talking to all day?
Your son was there?
And I was there with my 3 boys. And
okay.
I was like, or no, my son said, one of my sons said, well, what were you talking about? You know, lady just really got in a conversation, didn't stop. And I said,
yes.
I'll give you a hint. He was like, is it weird healing stuff? And I was like,
That was so cool. How, we cross paths with like-minded people and healers, just healers. And I was so excited when Jen told me that you were a Reiki Master as well. I was like, yes, I need another Reiki Master to connect with and to ask questions. And you've been doing it way longer than me. According to your website, I glimpsed your website and I saw how long you were doing it. And I was like, yeah, that's I need people who have been doing it for a while so that I can, learn from, and yeah, so it's so awesome.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it because we don't have that much time and a lot of our time, passed. And it's not your fault, Jen. It's not your fault. We're not blaming you.
Mercury retrograde.
It's the Mercury retrograde.
I'm telling you what, I am telling you, whenever I am doing something like this, or I always get like this block, and I know it just wants to make me mad, and I'm not going to give it the energy. So,
right.
But I just kept going. I'm telling you. In the years of doing the Zoom, 2 years, I've never ran into that
issue. Yeah.
ever. So I was like, not today. Just keep on going.
Yeah, not today.
Jamie has
There's really nothing more
premium.
irritating than electronic stuff. I don't know why. Like, it's such a part of our world, but nothing really aggravates me more than when my phone or something just doesn't work how it's supposed to. And it's like, of course, things are gonna not work sometimes, but it's super irritating.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. It is. Oh my gosh. Sometimes you just want to fling the phone across.
Yes.
I'm done with you. Yes. Technology.
Yeah. And like I said, I have 3 kids, and so they, when they were young and they first started getting on electronics, they have to have a lot of help from their parents, and neither me or my husband are really here for it. It was just kind of like, why isn't this your generation? Like, can't you just take the tablet and magically know what to do with it? Like, and you got to like download all these stuff and apps and child protective stuff. And it's not that pleasant to have to manage your own, much less 3 other human beings. So anyways.
No,
but I mean, we're so blessed. We're so blessed by it.
We're so blessed.
Here we are on Zoom able to do this. We're so blessed.
Yeah.
So Jamie, I guess we'll just start off with, I want to ask you a couple questions, if you don't mind, and then you can just take it away, just let us know about you and who you are. So I just wanted to ask this first question. Where are you originally from? Are you from Lafayette, born and raised?
No, I was born and raised in Boulder, Colorado. And then I lived in Seattle, Washington, Brazil for a year, Mississippi for 10 years, and now Lafayette 9 years. So I've lived a little bit of everywhere.
Okay, cool. How was Brazil?
It was amazing. Brazilians are so life-loving, and I don't know, they just kind of get it. Like, They don't go by this time thing. That's very like American culture. So it's like I had to take off my watch. Now, I was 18 when I went there. I was an exchange student. So I had to learn to take off my watch. They'd say, oh, we'll meet at 7. And really it was 10 o'clock. And at first that used to irritate me, but then I realized they were just more go with the flow. And I don't know what it is. They just had such happy, positive spirits for the most part. And I loved it. The food's delicious. It was just, it's a great culture. It's a great country.
Yeah. Okay. So that, what you just said about the time, that really sparked something in me, because I was telling Jen about this book that I started reading. I got it a few years ago before COVID. And it's called Waking Up in 5D by Maureen. I forgot the last name, but it's an audiobook, and she's talking about waking up in the 5th dimension and time, like as we're transitioning from the 3rd dimension into the 4th dimension, or 3, 5, 8,
Right.
or
Right.
to the 4th dimension, to the 5th, where time, we in the 3rd dimension we go by linear time. And then she was just saying that in the 5th dimension, like you said, how you explained Brazil, she was exactly that. She was like, it's just like there's not really time. You don't really focus on time anymore in the 5th dimension. It's just we're just living our lives, what happens whenever we get there type of. Yeah. Okay, that's very interesting. Sorry,
it's interesting because I don't know about for you as a healer, but time is one of the more challenging things to express to people in a healing or a reading. Particularly, yes. I also am a medium channeler. And so, I do speak to, people that have passed over. And I do believe there is somewhat of a process from the time we die to the time we embody ourselves as just full spirit form, without any of the physical aspects. And, and so anyways, when I read for people as a medium, their loved ones coming through, I find that people want, time information, like how long has something been, or if I say, I'm sensing that person hasn't fully transitioned, they want to know what that means on this very 3D or time linear life. And I have to explain a lot to clients, like time is really a man-made thing. It's literally so we don't bump into each other constantly. It's just to give us specifications, but that's a very, very human-made, construct. And so timelines are challenging in readings, or when talking about, people passing over and kind of where are they in the ethers at this point? How long have they been there? And fortunately, people don't focus on that too much, but prompted me to think about that, in clients I find time. Do you find that as well, that like, people are like, well, when is this going to happen? And I can read as an intuitive, I can ask for that specific from spirits and their spirits, from my guides, whomever, and I can give timelines, and they're usually pretty accurate, but at the same time, it's almost like,
well, okay, so sorry, no, I'm just getting really excited. So that leads me to another question. Have you ever accessed the Akashic records, or do you access it frequently, or do you know about it?
I know about it. I actually just had mine opened a couple nights ago, and I've had a reading for myself several years ago, actually, that I have in an email, and I read it occasionally. But that's not one thing I personally delve into as one of my abilities that there's so many options for how to, access information and energy and things like that. I think as healers, we tend to have our strong skills and ones that we don't, people ask me about astrology a lot. And I always say, that's not my language. I believe in it. I love it, but I refer to other professionals for it. Like, I'm not trying to learn that one language. I don't have time for that. I'll leave that to people who that resonates so deeply. So that's like the Akashic records for me, is like, I'll let someone else become an expert on that, and that be one of their gifts where they tap into it. So I personally don't use that as one of my tools.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
Do you use them? Do you open the Akashic records? Either of you, Jen?
Jen, you want to say something, Jen?
Sheena and I, we kind of been dazzled into it a little bit. on our last podcast that we did. And it's actually, Sheena actually found them at a store.
Yeah.
And
You found your Akashic records at a store? Like it was in the Walmart aisle, like aisle 4. You're
Five
like,
Below.
dude, Sheena,
Five Below.
Five Below.
like Sheena, here they are, our Akashic records. Like,
Yeah, they were calling out to me. They were calling out to me. They were
Five
like,
and
"Pick me
Below.
up,
Can you believe
pick me
it?
up." Yeah.
Yeah, Five and Below.
so funny.
So
Yes.
she's like, Jen, you got, these are calling out to me. I'm just gonna get you some of these books. I had to go back and get. I said, okay, all right. So I just started reading them and started just really diving deeper into it. Like there's just different elements to it, but it's very interesting.
Yes.
Um
Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, it's kind of I have to wonder though, again, speaking to how many options and tools there are for, reading energy or understanding these spiritual topics. And I'm sitting here thinking like, no, I don't, that's not one of my tools, the Akashic records or whatever. But then I'm sitting here going, but I wonder if one day, because I've had ancestral lineage healing open up to me recently. And that was something I was saying, I was also saying, well, that's just not really my expertise right now, or past lives, I believe in them. I've seen some for myself. Occasionally I've seen them for clients, but it's not what I really strive for, go for, to search. And the universe let me know real quick this weekend that, boop, level up, next up, ancestral lineage healing stuff. So I'm sure one day down the road, it'll be like, time for Akashic record stuff, It's
Yep.
like, I don't know, it's there, it's just so.
Yeah.
I actually was just thinking about that book just like 2 days ago.
You know what, Jen? I confess, I have not dived into that book yet, and I don't know. I've had an Akashic record book before, like a whole book on it. I don't know what happened to it. For some reason, I started reading the book, and then I would always stop. It's almost as if it's like my higher self is telling me, you got some more work to do first. You got some more work to do first. You got some work to do first. Yeah, not that. You can if you want to, but I'm telling you, you're not ready yet.
Yeah.
That kind of way.
Right.
So, but I feel like I'm actually ready now. So I really
Right.
need to, because it's been coming up more than.
Sometimes when we get things like that, it may not be in that time or that moment that we need it.
Yes.
And then when it's been spoken to us, we have it. And then you'll know in all your being that it's time for it.
Yes.
And I think this is a good opportunity to share with the audience, because I'm guessing you have a variety of people who are healers themselves, people who are interested in healing or interested in being a healer, learning. And so I just want to say for the audience on that note that I totally agree with you, Jen. And I think the key is to just like listen and be open, because the ancestral lineage stuff was spoken to me a couple months ago, and I've been doing my work long enough, and I'm very guided by my intuition. I live by my intuition and energy reading, and common sense and logic, but strongly intuition. And so I know when to like catch something. And so as soon as I heard it spoken, and I can't remember how it was said, but it was something to the effect of like, you need to be doing ancestral lineage stuff, but it was just like a person, and so I didn't dismiss it, but I just thought, okay, and if that's going to come, then come to me, like there's something I will latch onto and seek out, like, oh, that's so neat, and I want to learn more. But sometimes I know to just sit back and let it come to me. And usually that's if I'm just very busy. So it's like, well, the universe, knock me over with it if you want me to, if that's the next step, bowl me over with it, because I don't got time to go search it out for myself. So sure enough, I heard about it a couple more times, and then bam, it was right in my face, and the universe was like, now. And I was like, oh, now.
Yeah.
Okay, now.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how our intuition works too? It's like you get that feeling like, now, go now.
Yeah. That
You
nudging.
can't think twice about it. You just gotta make a move.
Yep.
Yeah. It's amazing. All right. Well, I have another question for you, and then Jen, I don't know, you probably have questions too, I'm sure. What influenced you, or what sparked your interest in becoming a Reiki practitioner or slash master?
I actually started my healing journey through massage therapy, and I went to this really fabulous school in Seattle, Washington. It doesn't exist any longer, unfortunately. But it was a really great school, and they offered just a total variety of classes aside from like their style of massage. And so it became pretty clear to me what kind of massage therapist I was going to be. Like the offerings were pretty obvious. Like there's like sports massage where you're going to go actually help athletes, and it's a very specific type of massage. There's very like spa-like massage where you might not even manipulate the body as much as it's more like relaxation and essential oils and, you know, things for just chilling. Then there's deep tissue massage. And then they actually offer the opportunity to take Reiki as like an elective course. And it just sparked my interest, and I took it. And it was just one of those life experiences that as soon as I took it, like while I'm in the class, like I couldn't get enough information. Like it was practically like a 5-year-old at the kindergarten, you know, teacher's legs just being like, more, tell me everything. Like I was just eating up the whole experience, the information. And that was 20 years ago. I've been doing Reiki for 20 years. And it became very clear to me the kind of massage therapist I was going to be more towards like healing and energy work. But Reiki just has always spoken to me so deeply. One of my favorite things about it is that I feel like it's this very accessible way for people to start to learn energy. You know, it's for everyone. It's not this like, I'm so special, you're so special, we're chosen ones for Reiki. No. Really, energy work, intuition is for everybody. We three of us know that. But most people don't. They think it's some magic that, you know, it's magic too. But, you know, for selected, yes.
Yeah. No.
I like to teach Reiki because it's, to me, I feel like especially Reiki 1 is such an excellent sort of beginner course into like stepping into energy, amping up your, you know, starting to hear your intuition and exploring energy. And so I love Reiki for that reason. But I can actually attest in all truth to, since I did Reiki 1 20 years ago, I have given Reiki every day for 20 years. Whether it's to myself, my children, animals, friends, whoever, it just spoke to me, and I never stopped doing it. So I absolutely love Reiki.
Yes, awesome. Yeah, Reiki is a big part of my life as well. I usually, every time I have a headache, a stomach ache, anything like that, I give myself Reiki. I've never given it to pets though, which was another one of my questions. If you had ever given it to pets, which you already answered, that's cool. My
dog does not like it. My dog that I had did not like it until she was dying, and then she really received it. And I'm sure it was basically pain relief for her. She probably just didn't need it. You know, it's a vibrational level that's up there, faster vibrational level, and I don't think that my dog needed it. Cats tend to love Reiki. And if I do it, and yes, if there's cats in the area where I'm doing Reiki, they usually come right up and want to just be right there.
I have a client house that I go to for social work, and they have like 3-4 cats, and they are always all around me.
Yes, they feel
they
you.
want to rub up on me and rub up on me. And one came around my neck one time, and it just laid there like a scarf. I was like,
I'm allergic, so I'd have to be like, you're cute, but
yeah. I was like, okay, guys, you can go now. But it's like they come and they take.
One of the conversations Jen and I. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
one of the conversations Jen and I had at Tropic New Co. was we were talking about Reiki, and she brought you up, and I remember I was wondering if you got attuned yet, Jen, because I remember specifically saying to you, like, you were like, well, I don't know if I'm ready yet, and I was like, no, you're ready. Let's.
I've actually.
Oh, you did.
Yeah,
I've actually tell me about that.
I've actually been kind of practicing on my kids because I still fully. I mean, I believe in Reiki 1,000%. I do.
Oh yes,
and my 10-year-old, she was at the pool that day too.
Yeah.
she was having stomach
Eva.
problems. And I think I
Uh-huh.
told Sheena this because it kind of like frightened me a little bit. But my intuition just told me to just kind of rub my hands back and forth and then
Yes.
go around in circles like this
Mhm.
until they were nice and warm.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
And then I placed them on the area that was bothering her.
Uh-huh.
And within like 5 minutes, the pain went
Dissipated.
away. The discomfort went
Yes.
away. So she
Wonderful.
calls my hand magic hands.
Magic hands. Yeah.
Magic hands. I like that.
Yep. Yeah.
So my
I
5-year-old,
like it.
it's so interesting that you bring this up because even just this morning, my 5-year-old, who I've never done it to, she slept on her neck wrong and she was complaining about her
Aw.
neck. So I immediately, well,
You work that magic.
I worked, well,
Yeah.
yeah, I did. And she was shocked and I was surprised. But the really interesting thing is that when I did it with Livy this morning, I was working my hands like this.
Mhm.
I could see an energy ball in my hands rolling with light.
Yes.
Did you say
Yes.
you could see it or she could?
It was
You
me. I could see it,
could
and it
see it,
kind of
yeah.
frightened me, but I just kept going, and it was just going faster and then faster, and then I would just, I don't know, and then there would be like a certain color. I actually sent some to Sheena.
Uh-huh.
We were talking, I think yesterday, and my intuition when she was talking to me, I just really got like focused on her. Like every energy that I had, I focused it on Sheena, and then I did the energy, and I could feel heat just right now
Yeah.
in this heat,
Mhm.
and then I
Uh-huh.
just
She.
gave it to her like this, and I
Mhm.
told her, I said, "This is what I did." I casually was like, "Let me know if you feel anything." And then she told me that she actually had goosebumps. Like goosebumps appeared.
Yes.
So this is just happens. So I did Ava a few months ago, and I did Livy this morning, and then Sheena was yesterday.
Mhm.
Very nice.
Now, Jamie, Jen has, maybe you can more tap into her energy. But she has a specific gift. I'm not sure exactly what it is. If it's clairvoyance or her sentience or something. She can see stuff. Like she can
I was
see.
just thinking that, and I was about to ask you
Yeah.
actually, Jen, about that, about the clairvoyance piece and how strong that is
She
for
can see
you.
stuff.
I was
Yes.
literally wondering that when you were saying I saw
From
it.
day
I thought,
one.
oh,
From day one, since she was my client the first day, we had a talk, and then I was just like, you have a gift, Jen. You need
Yeah.
to,
And
there's something that you need to work on to,
yeah, I've had other
strengthen it.
healers say things to me like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't happen like all the time. But if I really tune in, like really, 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 like really tune in, I can really hear things. Like if once I'm laying down at night and I'm going into a deeper part of a sleep, I will hear like radio station. It's like a radio station. It's like a
Frequency.
yeah. Or sometimes I'll hear like somebody just shouting my name, like "Jack!" like that. And
I
it
get
doesn't
that.
scare me anymore.
right.
Before I was like, holy shit, something's
Yeah,
in my
seriously.
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Does it
But-
happen to you too,
Of course.
Jamie? Yeah.
Yes, definitely. But I'm experienced enough in entities, and I like my sleep. So when they come to me and I'm trying to sleep, usually, are you a curse-friendly production, or should I keep it clean?
No,
I
it's
curse.
explicit. It's explicit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we like our language.
I literally will be like, go the fuck away, I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
If you have something to say, you can say during the daytime, okay? Like,
Yeah.
this is my sleep. Like, I literally And then it just usually reminds me that I want to get up and pee. So I like kind of like I push something out of the way, like, no,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
right now. And I like push
Yeah.
and go to
It
the bathroom
doesn't-
and then crawl back into bed. I'm like, another time.
Yeah. It doesn't
Yeah.
it doesn't happen a lot, but when it does happen, I just ignore it. So
That's clairaudience. So you have some clairaudience going on, and you have clairvoyance, obviously. That's one of the things I do is I teach a developing intuition class, and it's a 4-hour class, and it's really fun because it's hands-on, and it goes through the 4 clairs: the clairsentience, clairvoyance, claircognizance, and clairaudience. The clairs of hearing, the clear of hearing, seeing, knowing, and visual. And it's just really fun because it's a lot of hands-on practice, and people like that. So it's a good time. It's a nice just beginner course to teach people that intuition is a sixth sense that everybody has, and we should all be using it much more. But I also point out how often people are actually using it, but they don't think about it or realize it,
Right.
or just even think about how many professions. Like the other day I was thinking about how many professions 100% have to be using intuition hugely every time. Police officers, yes, obviously they're going through all this training, they're being very mental, they're scanning, they probably have trauma responses, so they're hyper vigilant. I get all that. They're scanning, I get it. But you cannot tell me that they are also not tapping into intuition to see, like, how safe am I, or how unsafe am I, or like, what's around this door? Okay, I'm entering in this space. Where may that person be? I have so many every day that people don't even realize. Like, I guarantee you're using
Nurses,
intuition.
doctors.
Yeah.
Yes,
for sure.
yes, doctors, exactly. Nurses, 100%. So like, okay, you're hearing the patient in front of you. You're getting all the logical information, the facts. You get your blood tests, yada yada yada. But still, you have to have a sixth sense to be looking at this client in front of you and figuring out some other piece of it. I mean, it's just it's so wild to me that people feel so distanced from it, and as if it's just not a thing. And I'm like, the other part that just drives me a little batty about it is like, people are willing to believe in some God in the sky or what have you. That's fine. But you can't believe that you yourself might have some prosthetic vision capabilities, or just a way to guide yourself to live safely, to make good choices.
It's
Like,
interesting that you brought that up. I don't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
But when my husband and I used to go to church, and he can vouch for this, he's actually in the other room. He might even just be listening. But it gets so. Him and I would be talking, and all of I would just be talking to him and just encouraging and just kind of listening of what was in my heart while I was talking to him. And then it never failed. When we would go to church the next day, it was almost the exact message I gave him. I was like,
I believe it.
I was like, holy
Totally
shit, I
believe
just
it.
said all this. Like
Confirmation.
like last night.
Confirmation.
So finally I went and I talked to I did talk to the pastor. I said, listen, I said, I'm gonna be honest with you. I said, it's freaking me out. I said, because I'm talking to my husband and you're giving the same message that I just basically gave him last night, and it's kind of freaking me out because it was happening more and more and more and more. Like, it was like all the time. And so he told me, Pastor Judge told me, he said that there are people that can hear and know, and not to be afraid of it. And he said, so just, if you hear it, he said, know that it is coming from a good place. And know that, basically, you're kind of lucky that this happens to you, because not everybody has this. But I could never, like, when I just couldn't believe it. I was just sitting there like thinking I'm having like a deja vu. But it was like, I literally just said this to my husband, and then now we're sitting here, and it was damn near the same
Yeah.
thing I said.
Well, I agree with Sheena, you know, confirmation. And that's what I tell people in readings all the time is a good reading, like where it's just more like the pure psychic reading, where I'm just like kind of tapping into your path that you're on and the trajectory of it. I always tell people like a good reading is when you walk away and you've had lots of confirmation. Because these are things you've already heard in your heart somewhere, or felt, or had an understanding of, or known, but you just didn't believe it. You brushed it off, or it was just a soft enough whisper that you were able to kind of just not hear it or ignore it. But now when someone else's voice comes at you and says that messaging and it hits you, like if it's not resonating, you know, what I'm saying, then I'm either wrong, which is fine, or we need to move on, or it's not the right messaging for right now. But it's hitting for a reason because you actually already know this in you. So really readings and healer work is really confirmation.
Yeah. Now the other thing that I do, not that I do, sorry, I don't know what I just did, but my computer does things on its own. Is sometimes I will wake up. No, obviously I wake up, but in the morning I wake up. Sometimes I'll have like a vision of a death. I don't know who it is. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I know that we're going to hear about it and it's going to be big. Like it'll just come out of nowhere. So my very first thing was, you'll never guess and you'll laugh your asses off when I tell you. Joan Rivers.
Oh, wow.
And then she came to me in a dream.
Wow. I wonder what the connection is there.
I used to watch her all the time on E because I thought she was absolutely fabulous. Like
I wonder if you're like related. Like, you know,
then I talk to you.
Yeah. So then it was Betty White. Well, before that,
I love Betty White.
Before that, it was the girls that died in Delphi.
Oh.
That was a bad feeling. Bad. And I remember looking at my daughter, Kara, the one that you met at the pool.
Right.
I said to her, I go, I'm telling you, something bad's going to happen with kids. I don't know where, I don't know who, but we're going to hear it and it's going to be very, very sad. I can feel it. And like 2 days later, the whole thing happened with Delphi. Then it was the same thing, and it ended up being her boyfriend's uncle overdosed. And then it was when I had my hit and run. Remember, Sheena had my hit and run. Then when I woke up that morning, I heard you're gonna get an accident. And that day I did. And then the Betty White one, because I told Kara, I said, it's somebody that we don't know, and the Queen. And it's just I wake up and I get this feeling of death, big feeling of death. Now I'm like frightened from it, but I know something major is going to happen. But I don't, like I said, I don't know who it is, but I know it's going to be somebody that we're going to see visual, you know, and then, or it's going to be somebody that we personally know. So it's not, you know what I mean? I don't know if I can break it like that, but
So I just want to point out for a second a couple things. One is you have now said I hear multiple times, so you're very clairaudient. So that's you're very clairaudient. That was one of the ways I realized I was actually that Akashic record reading that I did. I don't even know how many years ago, a long time. She was actually the first one to tell me I was clairaudient, and I was just like, what? No, I don't think so. And I actually hadn't even ever heard of clairaudient. I wasn't even sure what it was. And then sure enough, after that session with her, the reading with her, I realized how often I was saying when I was talking with clients, like, I'm hearing this for you, or this about you. I'm hearing this. And then I was like, oh, I'm totally clairaudient. Like,
yes.
That's one of the ways I teach people tapping their intuition. Like, listen to how you describe events to people or situations, or especially too, like if you're in conflict, like a disagreement with somebody and you're wanting them to understand you, You will
Yes.
use the words in which you want to be understood because it's the way you perceive information. So like,
Right.
You might really express that you're trying to feel something. You're not understanding my feelings in the situation. That might be for someone who says that a lot, who is a feeler, who is uses clairsentient a lot, who's
That
an
would be me.
empath. Yes, me
I'm a
too.
feeler.
I'm highly clairsentient as well.
Highly
Or
sensitive.
people like
Yeah.
us, Jen, who say like, oh, it's like I heard this, but if you're in contact, you might be like, you're not hearing me. You're
That's
not
what I
hearing what
say.
I'm telling you. I'm
Not
trying to
hearing
tell you
me.
you're not
That's
listening
exactly,
to me
yes.
because you're always listening. You're always hearing. That's how you perceive and receive
Right.
information.
Yeah.
So that's one of the ways I teach people about, understanding their intuition more. Start listening to themselves first and foremost. What verbiage are you using to describe things or to get people to try to understand you? You're not seeing me. Why aren't you seeing me? I'm right here and I'm trying to express myself to you. But
I say a lot like, am I the only one that has eyes?
Right.
Am I the only one that has eyes around here? But I do say the other things like, don't you hear what I'm saying to you? Like, what are you not understanding when I'm saying?
Yes, what I'm saying, yes. So words are important. Speaking, so anyways, that's a good tip. But Jen, I just want to say to you, I mean, you've already heard this before, and I was going to say it before you gave all those examples, but I don't know if you need to hear it from somebody else or what the situation is, but you're extremely psychic. And, I'm using that word today. I actually prefer the word intuitive because I think it's a little less, well, unfortunately, the word psychic has gotten a bad rap over the years, the TV psychics that may or may not have been true. Some of them were not real. And so I've always tried to steer clear from any, negative connotations as I've built my business. But for some reason, I'm wanting to use the word psychic and in a positive fashion for sure, because there's nothing wrong with the word. There's nothing wrong with the meaning. I'm even embracing it a little bit more as I go into it. Like, just own it, Jamie, because people don't know either way. If you say you're an intuitive, they're like, what's that? If you say you're psychic, they're like, what's that? Either way, they don't know.
It don't matter.
Jen, you are very, very psychic. And I feel like I'm meaning it in the sense of, I feel like I'm meaning it. That's my verbiage, right? Because I'm a feeler. I feel like I'm meaning it in the way, like when I'm listening to and I'm dialed in, you definitely have prophetic vision for sure. Obviously, you just gave like 10 examples. But the other thing is I can actually see you using some divination tools like tarot or something. Do you play with those at all or have interest in them?
I have. Me and Kara have.
Because I can see you doing readings for people. Like you're psychic to the point where I don't feel like it's just for you and for like your personal life. Like I think you're meant to share it, and I think you're meant to do readings for people.
She shares it with me all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I don't know. Take it or leave it, but I like listening to it. I'm looking, I can't help it. I'm always reading people. I tell people all the time, I'm like a robot, like lasers come out of my eyes and I scan the entire time. Like when I walk in a room, I'm scanning, my lasers go out. And it's not to be rude or invasive. It's just my natural, it's just what's happening. You can't stop that shit at this point for me. I'm too deep into it. So
You're just tapping in.
Just tapping in. So I was like, watch, let's just look at you read, and I'm just like, and she's like super psychic.
Yes.
And then I wonder when she needs to stop being afraid of it. Oh, and here's the thing. I think the reason a tool is helpful because one, then you can channel and direct the information. Like this stuff you're getting that I guess we get kind of suggested kind of negative, like a bunch of death, a little scary, frightening. Maybe you're used to it, so you're not. But most people don't just want to receive that information. So I'm wondering if a tool like tarot is something that can help you sort of channel that energy and that information and the knowledge, this intuition that comes through you. But also mainly because I am hearing that the fear factor that's preventing you from just fully like owning it and like. Because you sound like when you're talking, it sounds like you're sort of a newbie, kind of know, kind of don't. And I'm sitting here watching you going, oh my God, she's like really extremely psychic. And she's playing this like she's dumbing herself down version of it. Like, well, I kind of get an intuition 18 times a day. And, I kind of know when people are going to die and stuff, I mean, like, I'm just letting you know.
But it started getting to be so common that I would call my daughter. I'm like, hey, guess what? he's gonna die today, but I don't know who.
Yeah.
And she's like,
You
okay,
literally
whatever.
even had a pastor confirm for you, and that is very unusual because most of the time,
Yeah,
you know,
he did.
religion,
I
they're
was
gonna say
shocked.
no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah,
no.
no, Pastor Dutch
Yeah.
was like, when I told him, he said, because I said, I go, listen, I go, I need to talk to you in your office because it's some deep stuff. And he was like, and he's only like 4'9", like he's old man.
Old as
And
small.
we sat down in his office and I said, listen, I said, I'm getting really freaked out. I said, because I'm already saying I'm already saying your sermons before I even get here. And this is happening more. The more I'm coming here, the more it's happening. And I said, and I don't know if this is a good thing or if this is a bad thing. And it's freaking me out, man. And he was like, he just kind of started laughing and he said, Jen, he says, it's a gift and not a lot of people can hear it. So you
Yeah.
really should pay attention to it.
Right.
And it's not a bad thing.
I don't know how much
And
more confirmation you need, lady.
I know,
Yeah.
So I
Jen gets
suggest a
confirmation left and
tool.
right.
right?
I suggest a tool because what I'm understanding about it is that it will help you get out of the doubt and the fear place if you feel like you just have a way to like something else to focus on. You know what I mean? Like instead of you
Yeah.
putting the responsibility of like, I'm seeing it, but maybe it's wrong. I feel like if you
Right.
use a tool like tarot, you can channel that
Mhm.
energy to feel like it's the card saying it. And that will give you some practice to build your confidence and your confirmation, because the more confirmation you get about your correctness, eventually you would just be in choosing denial at that point. Then you know what I mean?
Right,
Right.
right.
So that's
Absolutely.
what I'm hearing for you, and I would encourage, but do what feels
Yeah.
right for you.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Jamie, so if somebody wanted to get readings from you or sessions with you, where would they be able to find you? Your website.
Well, thank you for
Did you want
asking.
to share your screen?
I will.
Okay.
Oh boy, where did it go on my website? My website is intuitiveencounters.com, and that is all one word, intuitive, the word intuitive, and then encounters.com. And for some reason I can share, but it won't show. Oh, there it is.
Okay.
And how often do you hold your classes?
So Reiki is pretty popular, and I host that about every two or 3 months. Really, I host that one based on a request. Like someone will come to me and be like, "Oh, I'm interested in learning Reiki," and I'm like, "Great, then I'll plan a class." And then the rest, the rest of the students kind of manifest. So I'm thinking about hosting one in November. But I host about 2 events a month. So, and they're growing. They're not even all on my website yet for the fall. I'm about to throw a bunch up, but I'm going to be doing women's healing circles, potentially Reiki shares, a bi-weekly. So Reiki share, where like people who practice Reiki get together and we trade off with partners, or we literally stand in a circle and do like shoulder to shoulder.
Which I'm going to be part of next time.
Yes.
I was just thinking me too.
Yeah, you too, Jen.
Then,
yeah.
And then I want to do, I also do breath work. So I lead people through breath work, healing work. I'm thinking about hosting a bi-weekly breath work meditation group. So I also do the developing intuition workshop, and then I'll be hosting more and more retreats. So I just hosted one in July, that was a 3-day transformational retreat here in West Lafayette, which is exciting because there's quite a few local people that want stuff like this, are looking for it, but you have to travel to Indy, which isn't that far, but might require a hotel stay to really be invested, or you have to travel all the way to like Sedona or somewhere where these things are more common. So I definitely have had people that are very excited to find something in our town, and also people that are willing to come out of town. I have clients all over the world, actually. But my next transformational retreat is going to be in February. Again, it'll be a 3-day, and it's really a body, mind, spirit retreat. So it's about learning about the different aspects of being a human being and having a human experience. So it's body, mind, and spirit. And so we do things like breath work, journaling. We shake it out because we need some somatic healing. We got to move our bodies. I did bring in a yoga instructor. I did bring in someone, an art therapist who led art. So it wasn't just me, it was mainly me, but I had several different other healers come in. I had an acupuncturist come in. She did not give acupuncture, but she talked about it. She talked about Chinese medicine as an option, a tool. So yeah, so I actually offer a ton of things. The intuitive sessions are really, honestly, I would say the least of what I do. I have a lot of clientele who come to me, who have been coming to me for 16 years for readings. You know, they need a little catch up. They need a little, you know, leg up or where they're at, this new space in their journey. And I really love those relationships because those people have, you know, I've watched like their families grow up. Like some of those clients literally had, you know, 2-year-olds starting off, and here we are 16 years later, and they're, you know, in college becoming adults and things. It's really pretty awesome. But the healing work that I'm most preferable to is a very deep transformational energetic experience. And it involves, while Reiki is very much my foundation, I have moved much into my own healing modality that I will probably get students for eventually and start to teach it as its own modality. But I liken it to tuning people up, or as we were talking about, we started off with electronics, so circle back around. You know how everything needs updating all the time now. Your iPhone, everything needs updating. Well, so do human beings. You know, our DNA, that junky DNA or whatever, or our pineal gland needs an upgrade. And so the work that I do, I get you on the massage table, fully clothed, and I will use every technique I have. I will use my massage therapist techniques. I will use the Reiki. I'll use my own personal healing modalities. I will use breath. I will use crystals. Usually when people leave from sessions with me, it's very accelerated healing. So I remember one time, not that long ago, I had a client sit up and she goes, "Whoa, that was like 5 years of therapy in 45 minutes. And I was like, yep. So I do offer an intuitive counseling aspect. I am trauma informed. I've literally studied trauma and psychology in order to be able to provide my clients with as much information and tools possible to heal. So I work with the nervous system. We talk about spiritual things on the spiritual aspect. And when people get up, usually they are stunned, quite frankly, by what they've experienced. And then it varies from there. You know, some people are exhilarated and feel just fantastic. Some people so much weight has been lifted off. And, you know, you think that that's an automatic, like, I feel lighter, I feel better, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you feel exhausted. Sometimes when that weight has finally been lifted off of you, you actually go into like burnout mode of like exhaustion.
I had that when Sheena did. I don't even know what dimension we were in at one point, but I ended up messaging her because I felt so exhausted and wiped out that usually I felt, like you said, the weight was lifted and I felt, you know, ready to go and take it on the day. But that session that we did, man, I'll tell you, that wiped me out.
Yeah, I remember.
So it's nice
or
to
sometimes
see that
people feel like bounce off the table, but then they start to process, you know, the stuff that was released or brought up, and can have a little healing crises or go into grief after that. You know, healing is not butterflies and rainbows all the time.
No, I think I even went into crying. I think I cried a lot. I think a lot of anxiety came up, and I did a lot of crying. And I remember texting Sheena, and I was like, I have so much anxiety, and I'm crying, and I'm driving. You know, like there was just so much. But she was so awesome with just communicating with me and letting me know this is part of the process. You're okay. And so, but if somebody wanted to book an appointment, how would they do that? How would they do that?
So that'll be on my website. There's a link, and my in-person sessions intuitiveencounters.com. If it's all done through my website. I don't like give out my personal number or anything. So and I do in person Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at this point, but that's all on my website. And you know, we don't need to get to, but that's my office is in West Lafayette. And yeah, it's a great thing to bring to the community. And before you got on, because you were having the technical difficulties, Jen, Sheena and I were talking about, starting to get some of the healers together to meet one
Yes.
another and network, and just this very exact thing what we're doing tonight, to support one another, to use one another's services first of all, but
Yeah.
also to be able to say, hey, you should see Sheena, she has this, expertise, or she's good at this, because we're not all meant for every client. They're not all meant for us. Or I believe people should have a team. I've been saying that to my clients more and more. Where's your team? Who's your massage therapist? Who's your chiropractor? Who's your acupuncturist? I even have I have a local esthetician who came to get Reiki so that she could Reiki attuned so she could offer that into her facials and things like that.
Mhm.
The local there's a little art studio, classroom and studio downtown on Main Street, Flourish Art Studio, and Amanda Kennedy owns it. And she is rightfully a healer, and she doesn't just naturally claim that out loud to most people, but she is. And her art studio is a healing place. I've been there. My kids have been going there for years. It's a space where you walk in and you feel welcome as you are, which is that in itself is a healing modality. So,
Yeah.
some people they take on the label of healers, but we are all doing some kind of work in the community, and we have the option to be helping one another. So I think I'm getting off on a tangent, but I want us to unite.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, I
So
agree. I
Jen,
agree
get
with
you
that.
some tarot cards and let's do the thing.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Yes. And go live. Go live in the group.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I could do
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
could
I'm
really do
telling you,
that.
once you get enough confirmation, you're not even gonna question
I
anymore.
don't.
You're just
I
gonna go,
find
yeah.
it. I've
Yeah.
looked at tarot cards, but they just look so confusing. There's just so much to learn.
It's just a tool. It's totally just a
It's just
tool.
a tool.
And the key is finding, I don't use them anymore, but I started out with tarot and to learn more of the divination stuff. And it's just a tool. The key is really finding the pack that the card set that speaks to you.
That's true.
I have a 13-year-old in my life, and she got a cat set. It's all cats, the pictures and stuff. And, when I look at it, it doesn't speak to me as much. I can get it done because I'm experienced with it, but it doesn't really speak to me. I'm more like goddesses or, but there's so many, you can find so many. So if you can find one that speaks to you, then it's not as daunting, because that means you look at the pictures and you receive some kind of input, especially because you clearly do have some visual stuff as well, that clairvoyance aspect where you see energy and stuff like that. So the visual aspect will be key for you to get comfortable with it. That's my take anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
Sheena, do you use any tools?
During my
Other than
Reiki,
just yourself?
I only use crystals
Okay.
right now.
Love
But
me
I
some
do
crystals.
me too. I do have some tarot. But my favorite pack is the moon. I have a moon pack, and the moon has always drawn me. I
Yes.
always get drawn to the moon. I
Yes,
get drawn to the
very
moon.
much.
I go outside, and if I see the moon, I'm like, I
Yes,
know it's here.
very
I see it
much.
every day, but every time I look at it, it's like,
Very much
So
the moon.
I've been that way since I was a kid. I always was fascinated with the moon. So
Yeah.
the moon it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be speaking of that. I just hosted a goddess gathering on the new moon on Saturday, and it was phenomenal. We did a rage meditation to literally release rage, and then we honored the autumn equinox and did a ritual surrounding that and a clearing, and it was really, really magical. And I would like to host more of those things for women to come together, in particular to convene like women, or women identifying people to convene like we do as women.
I was just saying, I need that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do.
I need the rage.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I'm going to tell you a quick
And rage, according to Reiki, the rage is associated with your kidneys too. And I noticed sometimes if I have I'm getting a lot of anger built up or something, then I get pain in my kidney area.
That happened to me. Remember when I was very, very angry at my daughter, severely angry. I was looking for a place in this town that you could just go and be destructive, bash
That's
dishes.
Coming soon.
Is it?
That one of those is coming soon.
Okay, good.
Connected to the roller skating rink.
Awesome, because I was just
they don't have a roller skating rink already?
I'm
sorry?
They don't
we have
already
a roller skating rink.
They have a skating rink. I kept thinking to myself, we need this to be here because
Yes,
I need
it's
this
coming.
to be here. Oh,
Well,
yeah.
it's more
good.
confirmation for the both of us because I literally was just having this conversation about this place like an hour ago in the car with my family. We were talking
Yeah.
about the rage place.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You gonna
I just
smash
saw it.
something.
I
Good.
just saw it coming. Yeah.
I just want to
But
mash
let
some
me tell
dishes.
you this. So I don't want to totally freak anyone out. However, when I led this rage meditation, I was just intuitively guided, surprise, and just off the cuff led this meditation. And I've been to one before, so I had some inspiration, you know, but I didn't like write it out or plan it out or like Google any other kind. I just was like, I'll just let spirit speak through me. So I ended up also encouraging the women to pull up, you know, the earth's rage, the rage that the earth has at humans destroying her, and then ancestral lineage rage. And then we, you know, cycloned it through. Oh, you just wait. You wait how this story turns out. And then we pulled up our own present day rage, you know, anything that harm has come to us, things that people have done to us, and we screamed it out. Well, one of the participants is not comfortable in anger, much less rage. So she stepped out of the circle and decided not to participate, which is fine. These circles we meet each other where they're at.
Yeah.
But there's no way she heard that screaming and didn't feel that energy and like not have it reverberate off of her, which we found out true ended up being later, how true that was later when she was sitting against a tree a little bit later, about an hour later, and things were kind of wrapping up. A little bit of movement was happening, people maybe getting ready to go home and whatnot. And I go over to her because I realized she might not be feeling well. And so I bend down and I say, hey, are you okay? And she said, no. And then she kind of was like squirming and started doing this movement, and she looked like her face was starting to contort, like emotions, like maybe she was holding back emotions. And all of a sudden I just realized what was happening, and I said, oh my God, is this the rage? Is the rage trying to come out? This was the woman who didn't let the rage out earlier. And she
Oh my gosh, I
said,
just got
yes.
goosebumps.
She said yes. And then she let out a blood-curdling scream, and she did not stop screaming for 4 hours. I'm not kidding.
Oh, I just got
4
goosebumps all over my
No.
body.
You said 4 hours?
4
4
hours.
screaming, moaning, groaning, growling, like I'm talking, I started at 11 o'clock at night. We didn't get into bed. This is outside in nature. We were camping, and there was just one other woman there at this point. Everyone finally left after she started screaming her head off. And we crawled into the tent at 3:30. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Sheena, you need to be there. I tell you, I go to bed by 5 a.m., girl. So you better get all this.
Yeah, but I was tracking.
You better
her
get
the
all
whole
that screaming
time.
out by
Yeah.
then.
I will be honest, like it was phenomenal. It was fascinating. It was the most beautiful expression of raw, primal, feral human
Probably would have been
experience.
crying if I saw that. Oh my gosh.
It was a little traumatic, I'm not gonna lie, but it was also ancestral lineage rage, and her body also started to act out some of these like past life scenes and ancestral lineage stuff. That was interesting. And she, like, her body she wasn't just sitting there screaming, her body was like contorting into things, and like it was really, really, really intense. And then at one point she kind of was up on her knees and like thrown back, and I don't know if she was like hollering into the sky or what. And the forecast was completely clear for the whole night, but at that moment thunder clapped,
raining,
lightning struck, and then it started raining on us. And I'm looking at her, and then I look back at the other lady like, did you just fucking see that too? Like, we're seeing this, right? Like, this is happening, right? And you know, my friend gave me a nod like, yes, this is happening, you know. And you know, and but the funniest part is, in my head I'm thinking, well, I guess we're just going to get wet, and all I can do is hope that it doesn't keep lightning and thundering, because that seems a little dangerous. But what am I supposed to do? Tap her out at that point? Like, hey,
right?
So I know you're like in intense rage.
Yeah,
but like,
but we need
wrap
you.
it up. Yeah.
Yeah, but we really need to wrap this up.
Yes.
Like, yeah. And so I'm just looking at her going, well, okay, so this is how this is happening. And it just rained for a while, but she grew in her power, and she was fighting back.
Did she remember Did
Yes, she was
she
totally
did?
lucid afterwards. That was the most amazing part. I thought she was gonna.
Oh,
She was exhausted afterwards.
oh, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure she was. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Ground her. I had to ground her at one point because I realized she was looping and she was stuck
Yeah.
in these memories. And I was like, ooh.
Oh.
And at that point, I remember thinking, oh my God, this has already been like 3 hours long. How long is this? Like, I'm getting kind of tired. Like, I used to be a birth doula, so I've been to several births, like just to, to support women. And as magical and fascinating as amazing birth is, when that shit goes on for like 12 hours, it's also a little boring for the people that aren't actually birthing. Like, you kind of sit there twiddling your thumb at some point. It's just reality. So I
Yeah.
did have a couple of moments of that where I was like, I'm a little tired and I'm kind of wet. Like, but she just kept on, and I was not going to stop her process. I just tracked her the
Yeah.
whole time to make sure she was in safe space. And so finally, though, she started into a storyline that I realized I recognized. Like, I knew this storyline. And so then I was like, that must mean that I've seen it multiple times. And that must mean she's in a loop or she's stuck. And I'm not here for that. So I went and basically
She's
just,
like, I got to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we're
For
done with
real.
this. Yeah. So I like literally went over and I called her name and I grabbed her and she's thrashing about. I'm like, I need you to come into your body. We need to be done with this portion of the program. You have cycled through this, you're stuck. And I just kept calling her name. And I literally was like, it's 2022. This is where we're at. This is who I am. And she didn't, it's not like she ever really lost sight of that. But when that stuff was coming through, I can't say it was always her for sure, to be honest. But it was fascinating. So I don't expect that to happen at Rage Meditations very often. I think that's like a 1 out of 100 times if that's people are going to go off into that space, but maybe. For the rest of us, it was exhilarating. It was relieving. Like, there was a lot of, actually multiple people were feeling anxious about that meditation. And they were like, well, I'll give it a try, or I might not yell, but I'll stand here, like it'll be okay. And then there was a few of us that were like, let's go, let's do it. And I was like, well, listen, I'm very loud, like really loud. And I've been deep breathing for 20 years. Like, it's the one tool I've been using for healing for myself for that long. So I have great lung capacity, so I can scream loud and for a long time. So I was like, I got you all. Even if none of you scream, I got you.
Yeah.
But
I'll scream for you.
Through several, go through several screams, and those who are comfortable just giving it hell right away, do so. The more timid ones kind of listen. They feel a little shocked, but then they feel their own stuff kind of surface. And then by the third scream, they're in,
Yep.
So, and at the end, we all stood there and like, we were like, oh, are we, we're in such a chill space before. Like, that was one comment that was made, was like, yeah, I'm here for this, I'm interested, but also like, we're really chill right now. I hope it doesn't like ruin the vibe. And so it didn't. It absolutely elevated it, because rage used in a powerful way and in a way of coming together and in the way of healing is releasing and relieving and empowering. It's not the same as when you go rage on someone to spew your hatred or your anger and to disempower them. That's not the same thing as a rage meditation. A rage meditation is to pull your stuff up and let that shit go. Release it to the universe, release it to spirit, to transmute it and bring it back down to the positive. And that's what happened. Like, afterwards, we were all flushed and we shook it out. We all agreed that we were vibrating like in a really positive space. And then we went and then we did like a smoke cleansing ceremony with some Palo Santo. And then we settled into this autumn equinox ritual. It was beautiful. So I know it sounds intimidating, and that story makes it sound really intimidating, but really, I just want to talk about that story because it just happened a few days ago, and I'm still fascinated. Like, I'm still processing.
Oh, I bet.
I was vibrating for like 3 days. Like, I would just lay in bed at night, like, I mean, she was feral and primal. It was glorious.
Wow.
I want to do that. Sometimes I really feel like howling at the moon, like a wolf.
Yes.
She
and we
said
got
that
held
many
back at
times.
with coyotes. We got held back at by coyotes after we screamed.
Really?
All of a sudden, in the background, there was like, there was these coyotes, and we were like, It was awesome.
Wow.
It was awesome. So
that's pretty incredible.
it is incredible. So I want to do some more of those. And I'm gathering resources. Yes, I'm gathering resources to make that happen, because that is an outside nature thing. Like, screaming like that indoors, I think would be too loud. But like,
I'd probably be the next one screaming until 4 a.m.
Yeah.
She'd be like, Jen,
well, hey, at least
bring
I'm
it
good
back
at it.
together, girl. Jen.
Not until you loop. I'll let you go until you realize you're looping. Then I'm like, all right, then we will wrap it up after that.
She's looped 10 times.
Yeah.
Get your shit together.
Yeah. But it just goes to show the power of people and what's really inside of us that we need to release and the possibility. And she afterwards, the way she described herself, like the next day, she got some sleep, she was exhausted, and then she said she felt clear, she felt capable, she felt confident. You know,
Amazing.
she wasn't like, and we've just been processing for many days, but holding space is one of the things that I would say I'm best at. I'm extremely comfortable in very extreme situations of human experience, whether that's bipolar mania at its highest. I've dealt with that a couple of times. Birth, death, I've been a part of those multiple times, and everything in between. Like as soon as she screamed, I was just like, oh, and this is what I'm doing now. You know, like everybody else didn't exist, and I was just like honed in, and I was like, here we are. And I just stood solid like a tree the whole time while I was moving with her. But you know, I didn't waver. I just I thought it was the most phenomenal thing I've ever seen. I thought it was beautiful. It was a little frightening at times. It was definitely alarming a couple of times, but I never felt scared, but just sort of like, whoa, this is like a lot. Yeah.
Like,
but other than that, I was just like, this is phenomenal. Yeah.
I'd be like, give me that acupuncture.
Yeah.
We're gonna clear some meridians quickly.
Actually,
we got shit to do today.
Yeah, she needs to come in and get a Reiki or some kind of energy breathwork session to kind of keep, you know, like I went to one of my healers. I was like, okay, can you help me process this?
Bet you did.
Yeah, she could still feel it in me. It was just today, so almost a week later, and she said, you're still in a sympathetic nervous system response, so that activated response of like, what do I need to do? Who do I need to be helping? How do I go? Because that's the mode I get in. And so she helped kind of ground me and get me back in my body a little more. I've been working on it all week, but it was a lot.
Wow.
Awesome, man. That sounds.
That's.
I want to experience that. I want to do something like that.
I'll do one soon.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we should like just wrap it up now. We've been on for like an hour.
Yeah.
So wrap it up now. But it was so good having you, Jamie.
Yeah, thank you so much. I feel like we covered all kinds of fun topics.
Yes, there's lots more we could talk about, but know, time is of the essence.
That's like your 3-hour podcast, and people are like, by the way, we did not listen to that whole thing.
Right?
It was
gotta come back to it.
Like,
Jen sounds so tired right now. She's like monotone.
I know. I am getting very, very tired. Just yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, my daughter called me. She was driving home from work. It was like 11 o'clock. I fell asleep while she was talking to me on the phone. And she called me today and she's like, thanks for taking my call. It's like, I'm really sorry. It's never happened to me before.
I noticed tired energy this week. I've been feeling it. My kids have been feeling it. And when I've been out in public, multiple people have specified, like, I'm so like wanting to just fall asleep all day at work, wherever. So something this week has been heavier and tired for sure.
Especially
I've seen it across the board.
Last weekend I was just sleeping.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this sleeping spell?
Like
I just fall asleep and then for like 20 minutes and I wake up and then I fall back asleep again.
Right.
Like, why am I so tired?
I like napping and resting, so I like to be horizontal as much as possible. I lay down. I take a nap every day. Like it's like a 20-minute power nap, but I take them most days.
That's nice.
Good.
That is really, really good. Yeah.
Poor Jen. Oh, poor baby.
Well, I'm so happy I ran into you at the pool.
Yes,
that literally was so sat
fun.
right next to me. I was like,
it was so meant to be. Like it was so obviously this is the way we got in the conversation, and then your daughter rolled up, and then you were talking about Sheena, and I was like, okay, there's more. So I'm glad we're finally connecting, because I've honestly been kind of waiting, because I knew it that day too. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to know more about her, and I'm going to meet Sheena at some point. So I appreciate y'all so much. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, I kept
Thank
it on
you
the
for
schedule
joining us.
I was like, Jamie gonna have to be our first one, you know, because
Yes, she kept saying that,
because
because we've got a few lined up, and
Yeah,
she
that's
just kept
great.
saying, Jamie's gonna be the first
Jamie.
one. I said,
Thank
okay.
you. Yay.
Yes.
Oh, before we end though, speaking of one thing that I do, I have a free or donation based cacao ceremony coming up, and that's October 8th of 2022, and that's here in West Lafayette, and it is going to be so October 8th, which was a Saturday, from 2 to 4:30. And so cacao is just one of those Mother Earth medicine type of things. Like, it's like actual like cacao pod before it becomes chocolate, you know, and we're not talking like Hershey or
don't call it
Nestle.
cacao.
Back home,
we call it cacao. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And when done in a ritual manner, it is something that can help you connect to the Mother Earth, and as well as to your heart center. And it's just this very like opening process. So I'm really into seasonal living and just honoring the seasons and living one with Mother Earth and stuff. And so I'm really into autumn equinox right now. So this is just another type of autumn equinox of like honoring that, like slowing down and going more inward. So we're going to do some self-reflection piece with the cacao ceremony. So that's here in West Lafayette. So I know your podcast will be recorded and out there forever. So again, it's October 8th, 2022 that we're talking about. But it's also listed on my website. And like I said, it is a free ticket. So there's only 10 spaces though, because we want to keep it small. I'm hosting it with Dr. Angelica Kokalis. She's a local acupuncturist, and she's amazing. It's actually at her space in West Lafayette.
You should hold 2 tickets, one for me, one for Jen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Well, you go on the website and get them. They're just, Intuitive Encounters, www.intuitiveencounters.com, and go grab the 2 tickets. It has to be done on the website, or I can't keep track of them. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you go under services, then you'll see the cacao ceremony. And I would love relays to come, and it's a great opportunity to have just a little experience of my work and coming together, and we can meet in person. It'd be fun. Well, Jen and I have already met in person, but again.
October 8th, June. Next Saturday. That's next Saturday, right?
Yes.
Next Saturday. Yes. Yep.
So that's how you laser on it. Like, okay.
I know. Look at us. You could tell because our see it on our.
Yeah, I'm getting. I gotta get mine.
It's gonna be lots of fun.
Event.
What'd she say?
For those who are listening, it's wait, where do we find it again?
Services.
It's under
3 dashes.
Services. Okay.
Yeah, the under services link, and then down it says cacao ceremony, October 8th.
I'm in.
Yay!
I just got my text message.
Yay!
Dana.
Exciting.
Okay,
I'm gonna stop the recording, or is that good? We're good?
Yeah. All right. Yes. So thank you, Jamie, for joining us on Going Within.
Yes. Bye.
Yay.